Welcome to Behind the Scenes. Today's guest is a new and rising star in the porn industry, but he's been down this road a little bit before, and he's returning, and he's going to take the industry by storm this time, and I'm really looking forward to watching that happen. He's young, he's so smart and just amazing, and you guys are just going to be blown away by this great personality that this man has, and I honestly can't wait to share this video with you guys. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or your drink of choice, and join me as I welcome Avery Jones to the show. Welcome.
Hi guys, it's Avery. How are you?
Hi Avery, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm super excited to not only get to know you, but share you with the fans and your up-and-coming new fans, because I always love when I find somebody new to the industry, because then I get to feel like I'm at the beginning of this great adventure that I get to share with you and bring the fans along with it. So, I mean, I'm super excited about that. So,
I love that.
Thank you for agreeing to sit down and let me pick your brain.
Of course. Anytime you're welcome.
Wonderful. So I'm going to start. We're just going to start and go back to Avery the kid. Avery, where you grew up, what kind of a child you were, and just tell me about you back then. Who was Avery, and where are you originally from?
So I'm initially, I was born and raised in the Midwest, specifically Indiana. I was raised in a small town called Huntington, super conservative. So as a kid, I was in a very, very, very small town. It was very, very small. So there wasn't, the big city lights and, all the skyscrapers. It was very much so livestock and corn. And that's kind of where we come from, the conservative Midwest. It was definitely a fun, interesting place. But when I was a kid, I remember, now that I'm older, I remember all the big cities and all the places I've been to. But when I was younger, it was very much so. We only had a gas station and maybe a few grocery stores, and that was all that my hometown was. So it's definitely a change for sure.
Well, you're now in Oregon, in Medford.
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Which I've been to Medford. It isn't really that much bigger of a town than... That's why I'm laughing you about this Midwest town, and then you find yourself in Medford, which is right in the middle of...
Oh, yeah. It's right in the middle of San Fran, and then you have Portland, and then if you drive 10 hours, it's LA. So you're kind of smack dab in the middle of major cities. And if I would have known that before I moved here, I would not have moved here. But
well, you're also surrounded by farming. There's a lot of farming in that area, and actually wineries. There's a lot of wineries down there now too. So it's still funny that you moved out of one country area to a more rocky country area, but it's
with a little bit of scenery. That's maybe what changed. And it sucks because there are tons of wineries here, and when I turned 21, I hate wine, so it doesn't even benefit me.
Well, it is an acquired taste.
It definitely is an acquired taste, for sure.
Is. That's funny. So how was growing up? I mean, you said you were in a conservative town, obviously small, so it was one of those, right, everybody knows everybody's business. So
yes, yeah.
School was good, bad, indifferent?
School was interesting. I moved around a lot when I was younger. My parents made a lot of really bad decisions, so we moved around a lot. I was maybe in 7 or 8 different schools by the time I had hit middle school.
Oh wow!
So I definitely moved around a lot. Not a lot of friends because I couldn't hold them because I left so often. But I started out when I was in elementary school. We were in still a very small town, and then my mom decided to move to an even smaller town when we kind of went into high school. So high school was kind of interesting, just because prior years, nobody had actually got confirmation that I was gay.
Mm-hmm.
I actually came out the summer before my freshman year of high school. So going into high school, it made it 10 times harder. because there was, a lot of country people who were very conservative. And I was very outlandish in high school. We'll say that for lack of a better term. I was very overly effeminate. Long hair. I was very, very crazy. I was like the Jeffree Star of my high school, if that kind of rings any bells. So school was interesting. It was fun. I was definitely very smart. Math was not my thing, but give me any other topic, and I was golden. I was good to go. My teachers loved me. I was definitely a class act for sure. I liked to make everybody laugh, unfortunately, even though it was very annoying. But hey, in the conservative Midwest, you find things that help you kind of get through that. And my high school was very big, very large. My graduating class was like 300 and I think like 85 kids. So there were a lot of them when we ended up graduating. But school was, for the most part, it was good. I was a theater kid, so that kind of helped me like progress into school and not really kind of be on top of the radar. But it definitely was really great. I got a big role as like, I think one of like the Seven Dwarves, and
which one?
I was like, I think I was like Dopey, which is very fitting, of course, because in high school I was very like over the top, so it was nice to play a character that was more like down low. And I remember we went to perform at the middle school that my brother went to, and so I was already out. I was openly gay at this point, and I wanted to embarrass my brother all the time. So I remember at the end of our play, I like threw the bonnet off of my head and I said, "Oh girl, my weave is so hot," and everybody died laughing. So I got good brownie points for that. So my teacher loved me at that point.
Nice. So then, obviously you came out very early, which is
right. Yes.
actually kind of unusual. Most kids don't. What drove you to do that? What was the deciding factor with that?
I remember there being one other openly out gay kid in my school, and it was just really rough for him. But he was also like really into drugs and stuff. So nobody really picked on him because, that was their like plug, as they call it. So when I decided to come out, I was just really like sad for like the people that were like underrated or like, kind of like pushed under the rug because they were, too much of this or too much of that. And I wanted to kind of be that like person that was over the top and who was openly gay, so that I could kind of stand in front of them and shadow box them so that they didn't have to take so much heat. I was very much so like out for other people, making sure that it was okay for them. But I also wanted to make like a new image on my school because my brother and sister are much younger than I am. So when they went into high school, I wanted people to know that, this is my brother and sister, and because of what I did, then they don't have to go through that. So it was very much so like a courageous thing for me. I wanted to be brave for everybody else. So then that way, when I graduated, I left. I didn't have to worry about it anymore. Everybody was prepared to deal with that circumstance because principals, teachers, superintendents, they weren't used to having kids who were openly gay and very proud of it. So it kind of spun the situation into, now we know how to deal with this situation, so now we know how to adequately handle this. So that's kind of why I did it, and I'm proud of it.
You're a very big, very old soul rebel. I love it.
Definitely that. It's kind of something that I wanted to do as a courageous thing, so I don't regret it at all.
So I assume support at home was okay?
Mildly, yes. What the internet obviously doesn't know about me is a majority of my like personal life, which is what I've like kept secret for a long time. But my parents were very into drugs. So that is why, at a young age, I'm very level-headed, very mature, very stable, because I've had to be my whole life. So when that kind of happened, and I came out, my parents were aware, but I don't think that they understood how to handle it because I had been through, foster care. And so I was supposed to be like the trophy child because I'm my mom's oldest. So kind of around that time, my stepdad was very new to the whole thing. He was very, very judgmental, would drop the F-bomb all the time and kind of like push me into a corner. My mom, on the other hand, was great when she was sober. But when she would, kind of get back on drugs here and there, she'd go through withdrawals and then she'd get back on them. So I knew that it wasn't coming from her. It was coming from a place of like, I'm under the influence, so I don't know how to like keep my mouth shut. But for the most part, yes, I had a lot of support from like my outside family, not so much my parents in general, because they were way too messed up to even understand.
Got it. Well, I'm sorry you had to cope with that. But
Oh, not at
you
all.
know, it's
Not at all.
funny. I say I'm sorry, but at the same time, you know, you did a great job raising yourself. You know, if you think about
Yeah.
it, you did an
It's
amazing
something that I had
job
to learn.
of raising yourself and your siblings because, you know, you did kind of
Hmm.
take on that parental role with them. Um,
Hmm.
and that's a lot of where your maturity comes from, and that's awesome. That means
Oh, yeah.
you can deal with anything. So
Oh, yeah.
that's some good skill to have. I mean,
It's
it's
definitely
bad that you had to
propelled.
take it this way, but
Right.
at the same time, you know, you're a survivor and you're a rebel and you're a fighter, and those are great qualities to have to come out
All
into
day.
this lovely world that we all live in.
Oh, yeah. Of
Um,
course. It kind of teaches you to be strong.
well, you lived a microscopic view of what's for the most part a lot of what's wrong with this world. I mean, there's
Oh, yeah.
so much dysfunction,
Oh, yeah.
and you know you've already crossed paths. A lot of people don't actually come into contact with until later on in their adult life, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know how to cope with it.
It
So
is definitely a very hard thing to cope with. I mean, I'm grateful because, I've crossed this path. So, like, I know what to do and what not to do. And that's why I'm kind of grateful because, I have had a lot of friends in the past who are like, let's go out and party, let's go do drugs and let's get drunk. And I'm kind of regretful in the aspect that, when I turned 21, like I wanted that kind of moment to be crazy. But then in the back of my head, I remembered what had happened in my childhood. And so it's kind of saved me a little bit. If it didn't happen, I'm sure that I would probably have tried drugs and gotten into that. But I'm grateful because of it, because it saved me. And it kind of taught me that, you only have one life to live. So, do as much as you want in that small portion of time. Because if you think about it, it really doesn't last that long. You blink and before you know it, you've aged 30 years. So live life to the fullest potential that you can absolutely squeeze out of it, and don't take anything for granted and don't have any regrets. No, I don't want to die and be like, what if? I will never do that, because I will just do it in the spur of the moment, and I'll be like, hey, if I failed, I did it and I learned from it. So
there's no such thing as a non-learning experience, good or
Mhm.
bad. So
Exactly.
you might as well just suck up the bad as well and say, okay, well, I learned.
There you
No,
go.
I don't
I
think I
learned
should
from
do
it.
this again. You know, it's like the finger in the light socket. Oh, that hurts, and it made my
You
hair
gotta-
stand on end. Shouldn't do that again.
You gotta learn from it. You gotta just take life by the balls, and if something happens, learn from it, and understand what you're supposed to learn from it. Don't just learn from it, but understand what you're learning from it. Like, if you do drugs, understand that this is going to permanently ruin a record. So learn from that, or how it's going to affect other people. There's always something to learn from someone and something in any instance.
I agree. I totally agree. So you got through high school. You've
Mhm.
obviously on the other side of it. What did you do from there? Where was the next step for you?
So from high school,
Which couldn't have been
I'm an
that
early
long
graduate.
ago.
So I graduated December 18th of 2015. I was an early graduate because I decided to not go to beauty school anymore because I was pursuing that as something. So I was going half days at my high school. And then I decided not to do that. And then I just crammed all of my schoolwork into like 3 weeks, and I graduated early. So 2 weeks before my high school graduation,
Mm-hmm.
I moved out of my mom's house because I couldn't be there anymore. It was just very toxic for me. So I got in touch with my stepmother, who I hadn't talked to in a while, but her daughter and her son are my brother and sister. So we are very, very close. So I ended up moving there, and I graduated high school, and from there I moved to Kentucky, which was not fun at all. And I lived in like Louisville, so that's supposed to be like the big city. It was definitely really fun. I'm definitely part of queer culture in the sense that I love drag. Drag is so fun for me. So any drag show, like I will go to a drag show. It is so fun for me. So they do have great drag, but again, it's still like very small, can be kind of conservative. So it was definitely a learning experience. From there, I was in a very bad relationship when I moved there. I've had this like bad trend in my past of like moving to other states for men without really knowing who they are. So I moved there for this boy, and I think I was with him for like 6 or 7 months, and he was very physically abusive. So from there, I ended up breaking up with him, and I found out that he had cheated on me, and I moved like 2 hours away to a really small town with my aunt, whom had taken care of me a majority of my life. And from there, it was not the best situation to be in. She's also a recovering addict. And she had like 11 people living in her house. So I was just a number on top of the other people. So when I moved there, there wasn't like really a lot to do. It was a small town in Kentucky. I think it was called Auburn. The closest gas station was like literally 45 minutes away. So I don't do good in very, very small. I need at least something substantial to go off of, like people or some form of nightlife, even if it's like a terrible bar. Like I need some form of nightlife, like something to do with myself so that I don't wander. So then from there, I was like, I've got to do something. Like I can't like be here. So then I got into, I was on Grindr. And an old friend of mine, Taylor, actually messaged me, and that was how Avery started, what feels like forever ago. And then that was when I flew out for my first shoe, and kind of the rest was history from there.
So how did you come up with your porn name?
So I've not heard a lot of people like talk about how they came up with theirs, because I think a lot of theirs is like just spur of the moment. So I came up with my porn name because back in preschool, where my first name comes from, Avery, one of the girls that I was like head over heels for in preschool, her name was Avery. And we were like two peas in a pod. Like we were always hanging out when we were in preschool. We would like tie like, I'm trying to think of the toy because I think about it all the time. The little like caterpillar that they have that's got like, you can tie the shoes or you can learn the shapes or the colors. Like we would tie the shoelaces together every single day in preschool. Like this girl, and we still talk to this day. Even now, she knows everything that I do. She's aware of porn, that I'm gay, and we're like the best of friends. She's so great. So that's where I came up with my first name, Avery, spelled exactly the same. And then my best friend, whom also lives with me, we live together. His last name is Jones. We've been best friends for like 8 years. So I kind of just crashed them together. And
so you're the best of both friends. I love it.
Oh yeah, of course. So I had the girl who I fell for years ago before I even probably knew what being gay was. And then my best friend of 8 years since I was very small and took it too. So just kind of crashed them together.
Nice. That's great. That's a really great story. And I do ask quite a few of them how they come up with their names. So, and they're kind of funny. Some of them are very snarky about it, and some are like, are very, it's because of somebody that really matters to them. So it's kind of interesting to see this broad range of reasons. So,
right.
So you, decided, how did you make the leap and decide that porn was where you wanted to go?
So oddly enough, I remember when I was in high school, Twitter was a really big thing, but it was still very like under wraps. So it was kind of like how people would bully people in my high school. They created like pages dedicated to like bullying girls that were like hoes. So I went on there on Twitter, and I had a page on there years ago when I was like very underage. I think I was like 16 at the time. And I had gotten my very first pair of Andrew Christian underwear. Very first pair that I've ever had. And I took a picture in them and I posted it on Twitter. And for some reason, I was really like cocky. And I was like, my caption said, "When I'm 18, I will do porn, I promise." And I really just put it on there to like cause a ruckus at my school because I wanted people to like kind of like turn their head to me and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" But And it did exactly that. Like they were like all talking about it. They were like, "Oh my God, he's trying to do porn." And I was like, "Hey, what's good?" So then kind of from there it kind of just expanded, and I was always very, very like comfortable with my body. Fortunately enough, I've had a very high metabolism. It's just like a genetic thing in my family. We're all very small. So I definitely had to learn to like love being skinny, because, you know, there are definitely people out there that are like, eat a damn cheeseburger. And I'm like, I've ate plenty of them and I'm still this small. So after I kind of like worked on like my confidence, I've always enjoyed being naked, but like being naked, but make it fashion, you know, like I wanted to be that, like that niche person in the industry that kind of takes it to the next level instead of just being naked for a picture. Like that's why I'll always pose, or like I'll do something with my face to like make it niche, to make it different. And I never saw that when I was watching porn. I always saw like the twinks that seemed like very candid, and I really appreciated that, and I wanted to be a part of that. So when I initially started posting nudes on Twitter under Avery Jones, it was never with the intent to actually do studio work. It was actually to just post my nudes and be a hoe, because I was 18 and had a very high sex drive, and I was like, well, maybe people on the internet will like want to sleep with me, because Grindr was like not a thing in that small town. So I initially just did it for nudes, like just cute boys to like pay attention to me. And then I got an offer from a studio, and I was like, hey, why not, you know, learn from this. If something happens, why not kind of get it out there, get it out of my system. If I like it, then I like it and I can pursue it. If I don't, it's only one, and it'll be there forever, but I don't have to look at it.
Good. That's awesome. So what was your first day on set like? Was it what you expected?
Oh, it was very interesting. When I did my first, without getting like too technical, when I did my very first, like, I wouldn't even call it a movie because it was not the T, but when I did it, it was very, very weird. I was very nervous because I'd never done it before. I was very scared because all of the guys around me were very like big and jockey and bulky, and I'm over here like 115 pounds, like 5'7" and 18 at the time. So not only am I really young, but I also feel very inadequate because I'm very small and I'm not like up to par with these people. So I was just very nervous. I didn't know what to do. I was also very new to the Twitterverse, so especially being in porn, I didn't know how to like work around everything. And on top of that, the people that I was working for at the time, or working with, had a really like bad reputation, and I didn't do my research initially. So it was very, very scary, and it was not fun. There was a bunch of drama that happened during it. One of the models got really upset and like went crazy haywire and like started attacking like the people that we were like working for. It was a shit show, a catastrophe.
Oh, so well,
yeah.
Obviously you didn't let it jade your opinion of the industry at all. I assume that you stepped back and regrouped and said, okay, we need to go a different route with this.
Yeah. I definitely had to, for sure. I mean, I was definitely jaded for a minute. I was like, wow, is this like how everybody is? Like, is everybody going to try and treat me like this? But then, you know, I can't like let that speak for everybody else. You know, two people who just were maybe bad people, or maybe not even bad people, maybe just bad business practice. I can't let that speak for everybody. And now, obviously, knowing what I know now, I'm glad that I didn't do that, because I've met great people and I've worked with great people very frequently. So I'm definitely glad that I didn't let it jade me. But again, I just learned from it and was like, I need to do my research. I need to know who I'm talking to, who I'm working with. And ultimately, I needed to learn that if something goes wrong in my head, I need to speak up for myself. And I didn't do that back then, because I was like, this is porn, like I'm replaceable. And I had to work myself out of that mindset because, if you feel that you're replaceable, then you're going to be replaceable. But you have to believe in yourself. And so it's that confidence thing. You have to learn and not be jaded from it and kind of pull something from the situation that's going to forward your career and help you, motivate you to move forward.
I agree. 100% agree with you. So, what is the most interesting unknown thing people may not know about you? What is something about you that maybe most people would not know about you?
The most interesting thing that people may not know about me. That's an interesting one. The most interesting thing that people may not know about me. Well, I mean, I guess I can talk about it now that I don't work there anymore. So I do or did have a full-time job outside of porn before I decided to leave the company and take my options to Los Angeles. But fun fact, I worked for a finance company and I was a loan servicing representative. I did it for over a year and a half, and I was mildly talented at my job, I guess you could say. But so yeah, kind of like finance, like a loan servicing person by day, and sexual fiend at night.
That works. He's like, being Superman, Clark Kent in the day and Hottie at night. There you go.
And I've definitely told people, people would ask me what I was doing and I'd be like, oh, I'm working. And they're like, oh, are you filming? And I was like, no, I have a full-time job outside of this. And I would tell them finance. I work for a finance company, doing loans. And they were like, oh, that's interesting. So I guess, I don't do it anymore because I did leave the company, but I did it for a while and it was actually really, really
so you have a head for business, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. Business for sure. I like that whole side of the market where I get to know what I'm doing and I get to see all the analytical sides of it and the logistics, and I kind of go in there and work my own magic. It was definitely very fun. I loved it.
You've obviously had a few conversations with Nick Fit then.
Oh, I love him.
He's another secret little business kind of,
I know.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
And I love that. I like picking his brain sometimes because I'm we're very similar in that aspect. Yes. He's very business related, and I love him.
You actually strike me as a very young Nick Fit. So, I can see where you two would be totally in sync with each other. So
he is great. I'm so excited to move there and get to see him because I love my little Nick Fit. He's great.
I haven't met him in person yet, which is funny. We've been friends for over a year, but I have not. Ships passing in the night. We've missed each other at every event. So
he is great. Yeah. I promise you will love him.
I'm seriously looking forward to going down there for the Straight Up Awards. So I'll get to see all of you guys and stuff.
Yes, of course you will.
So tell me, what's your favorite part of your porn career so far? And I'm not talking about the sex. We all know about that part.
Because that part is definitely great, of course. My favorite part would probably have to be the movie that I did with Shishi. People, I've definitely seen online, people kind of are misguided, and people definitely make assumptions about people in the industry that when they don't even know who they are. Mm-hmm. Shishi is one of the most professional people I've ever worked with in my life. And she really gives 110% to all of her models, and she really believes in them. We still talk every single day. I go and shoot for her again in December. But Uncle Bobby is very special to me because I came back into the industry after being gone for over 2 years because of a bunch of shit that had happened a few years back. And I was definitely more so jaded again. And I was very nervous to film again, especially for somebody like Shishi she's an award-winning director. So I was very nervous, especially being a twink. Again, it's that inadequate feeling. I walk onto a set and there's a bunch of muscle daddies and jocks, and I kind of feel inadequate sometimes. But after Shishi, she really taught me that you have to be 110% about yourself. And she's great. She's a laugh riot. Mm-hmm. She is so professional, and I will never forget when she told me that I was going to be on the box cover. And of course, to some people, they're like, it's a box cover for a porn movie. But to me, it's exactly that.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal. It's
And it's
you are
Gigi.
on the cover. It's like having a spread.
Yes.
It's like having a
And
photo spread.
she believed in me, and that's very important to me as somebody who, is very like mentally sound and, constantly is paying attention and maybe even over analyzing everything. Shishi is great. She's constantly making sure that you're comfortable. She makes sure that you look really, really good. She constantly checks you if like you need something or if you're worried, she'll talk to you. She is great. So I'm very, very proud of that. I know that I bug her all the time about when the movie is coming out, but she's amazing. She knows how to photograph like her models, like when Tashi is taking pictures of us models, and she's like kind of guiding you and
Mm-hmm.
directing you. She's very serious, but then as soon as you go to pose and be very serious, she'll like come out of nowhere with a sideline joke, and you can't hold yourself. So it gets very serious, but then there's always an aspect of fun to it. Shishi is so great to be on set with. She is
Well, you
like
have to have
a
some
laugh
lighthearted in
riot.
there. You have to have
Oh
some.
yeah.
You have
Oh
to.
yeah. You have
I think
to.
she's amazing. I love her to death. I'm actually looking forward to interviewing her. So you can warn her. I'm gunning for an
Yes.
interview. So
Yes.
you let her know that
I will definitely do that.
I want an interview with her really
I
badly.
will
So
definitely let her know that.
I'm circling. I'm getting closer. So,
She's great.
that
She's
birthday
great.
call kind of cemented the whole thing. The fact that she
See?
remembered me from the Grabbies was a big deal. So that's exciting.
She's great.
Yes, she
Please, I
is.
will definitely let her know. I will
Yeah, I
definitely
know
let her
Nick
know.
has told her too, so it's not like this is like any kind of a over the top warning thing because I am gunning. I got
She
Pam.
is
If I can get
great.
Pam, I'm gonna get Shishi.
Yes,
So I'm
exactly.
super
Yes, you have
excited
to.
for that. So, um, you said you just mentioned that this would be your third then coming back in. You went the first scene
Yeah.
that you told me about that was monstrous, and then you
Yep.
came back 2 years ago and tried again, and that didn't
Uh-huh.
go well. So this is actually your third. What's
Yep.
different? What's different this time?
You know, I think what happened in the past was again that whole like inadequate feeling. I didn't really love myself. I was in a really bad place in my life. I had tried to reconnect with my parents, which is never good for me mentally. But it took me time to learn that and to understand that I need to stay away from that toxicity. So when I left 2 years ago, I was in a very bad place. I was trying to figure out my life. And then when I came back this time, I truly believe that like the universe gives you things that you're ready to handle, and I just think that back then I was not ready to handle Avery to the caliber that he's at now.
Mm-hmm.
I came back to the internet and was like, I had no intention of, reigniting that flame that is Avery, or kind of bringing him back from the dead. I just wanted to post nudes on Twitter and kind of call it a day. And then out of nowhere, my best friend, who is the greatest person on this earth, was like, you should bring back Avery. I don't think that it's going to hurt you. I think that you're mentally ready for it. I think that, you have the confidence that you wanted 2 years ago. So I think that you should. I think you'll be really successful at it. And he was right. I brought Avery back and I did a few like really like small, like cutesy short videos, literally just with a dildo, and it went crazy. Like overnight, I was getting thousands of followers a day and kind of rekindling these friendships that I had with people in the industry back then 2 years ago who still remembered me. So I think that that's what's different. Like I'm mentally able to handle it now that I've been able to sit with myself and kind of tell myself that this doesn't like mark my character because I feel jaded sometimes. I'm human, and so I should take what I have and put that to good use. Not necessarily in just the sex aspect, but give me a camera or put me in front of a camera, and that's where I feel natural. It's where I feel the most beautiful because I'm capturing a moment of myself that I'll never get back. So there are things that I'll get to look back on. But I'm also working with a lot of professional people now. I mean, Nextdoor is great. They treat me with the finest respect, and so does Shishi. Shishi is great. She's very professional. She's very good with her models, and she's a great friend personally. If I ever have a day where I'm just like, I can't do this, I'm just not ready for it, I can always count on her, and I can text her and she will FaceTime me within seconds, and she just boosts you up in minutes. It's great. So I think I have a better support system now, and I also have people that actually genuinely believe in me, and love me for who I am. And that's important. And that's what I didn't have 2 years ago because I didn't have it in myself. So professionalism has definitely changed my life, realizing that it's a business and realizing that I have to just take things with a grain of salt. It definitely changed my whole view. And now I'm mentally ready for it. And obviously that shows because I've done pretty great things in the past 4 or 5 months that I got back into it. So, and I'm just ready to take it to the heights.
Awesome.
As far as possible.
You know, you just have to own who you are and don't make any excuses. Do not make any excuses. You are a phenomenal person, period. It doesn't matter your size. Size is size. That doesn't define who you are. You have a big heart. You have a beautiful personality. You know, you can own a stage, and that has nothing to do with your stature. You know, the smallest person can have the biggest impact.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, have you seen Armin Rizzo?
Yes, I absolutely love the man. I mean, he's one of my spirit animals. We're just I love him. I just adore him. So, what do you think is some of the biggest misconceptions people have about the porn industry? What would you love to set straight with maybe some of your fans and maybe their conception of what the porn industry is really like?
The biggest misconception for me that I've seen personally is that people always assume that people in porn are always horny, they're always looking for sex, and they're always ready to fuck. Here's the thing. Yes, I am horny a lot, but I also have a life to live, and I have friends and loved ones. When there's nothing that like is more uncomfortable than like when you're out in public, and because it's not like, you know, we're in Hollywood and we're starring in these like Paramount Picture films or Warner Brothers films where people come up to us and they're like, oh, I want your autograph, I love you so much. They come up to you and yes, they love you and they appreciate you and they've seen your work, but there's a very different mental set right there, you know, because we're in sex work. So there's nothing more uncomfortable than when somebody comes up to you and they think that you're just like ready to have sex all the time. I have to have time to douche. I have to have time to get ready. Like, these are things that go into what I do. There's a whole behind the scenes process that goes into this that they don't get to see. So it's like, I would just like people to understand that we're still human. I mean, maybe superhuman at best because of what we're doing. You know, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of stamina, but we're still human. You know, if you see a porn star in public and you want to go and say hi to them, go ahead and say hi to them, but just make sure that it's professional because we're still business people and we're still capable of professionalism. Sex work is just like any other work. It's just
it is a job. It's a job. It's not. It isn't what defines you as a human.
Oh, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the attention sometimes. Like when I go to like the strip in WeHo and like there are a bunch of guys who are looking at me and they're appreciating my size because I'm a twink and they're like all lovey-dovey on me. I love that. But it gets different when people are like, oh, you must be ready to have sex because you do porn. And I'm like, I love sex, but I'm not ready right now. I'm with my friends. Like, I'm having fun. I'm having a good time. So I just want that line to be like lower.
Well, they need to treat you like they would anybody else.
Exactly.
They don't assume that you're not a commodity. You know, you're not public property, so don't touch unless you've got permission. Well, this is a part of the reason why I'm doing this show is because one thing I have observed from being in and around the industry is people have taken the human out of who you guys are sometimes. Yes. And some of the posts get overwhelming. I mean, there's stuff but you'll always have that. But I just wanted to give people a more intimate look at who you are as a person, you know.
Oh yeah.
You're still a sexual being. You're still all those other things, but it's not all of who you are. And
yeah, of course.
Your job is, you know, doing porn. But when you're not at work, then your personal life is yours to decide how you wish to spend it. And it isn't, you know, getting hit on 300,000 times for being believed to be, you know, always at the ready.
Right, exactly. Don't get me wrong, I wish that I could be sometimes, because sometimes I go to the strip and I see guys in WeHo when I visit, and I'm like, Okay. Okay. But unfortunately, I can't be ready all the time. So it's like I have to sacrifice that a little bit. But I mean, I can be ready if it calls for it. I can be ready. But
Yeah, but
90% of the
at the
time, I'm
same time,
not.
you got to think that that if you aren't ready at the time that that person was around, maybe it wasn't meant to be. So,
Oh,
I mean, there's always a
exactly.
reason why things don't happen
Oh
in our
yeah.
lives. Something was wrong in that situation.
Oh
You,
yeah. I
you know.
totally believe in not forcing it. Just let it happen as it is. I mean, they'll come back.
So, what do you do to relax when you're not on set? What do you do for fun? What do you do for entertainment? What are your hobbies? What are the things that you enjoy doing?
So, being that, I'm originally from a small town, usually when I'm not on set, when I like to relax, I kind of just really like to watch reality television. I don't have a lot of drama in my life. So
So
I
you watch
like to,
others.
yes, I like to watch reality TV because I'm like, this is dramatic and I love every second of it, but I don't have to have this in my life. So, like, I watch a lot of the Bad Girls Club, a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay.
Real Housewives of Atlanta is my favorite. Nene Leakes is iconic. She's great. I also have a dog. So we kind of like to lay in my bed and cuddle. My favorite thing to do is when I'm gone for like 4 or 5 days at a time. When I'm filming, I get to come back home and he's so excited to see me. And literally, what we'll do for 2 days straight when I have my days off before I left my finance job, we'll just lay in bed together and we'll snuggle up and we'll watch Netflix all day long. We won't move, nothing, and he'll sleep right beside me. It's the best way to relax on this planet, I'm telling you.
Nice. So you're not a reader. You're a TV watcher.
I like to read a little bit, but usually only when it's like I read Elle magazine when India Moore was on the cover because that was a big thing. She was one of the
Mm-hmm.
first trans people to be on the cover. I read a lot of kind of like music. Like I like to read lyrics to kind of like feel the song. Like that's very important to me. Music is kind of like my art of connection. So I definitely read, just maybe not the conventional way.
Okay. So, which of the four? We're going to do some fun questions, just some lighthearted. Which of the four seasons is your favorite? Winter,
Which one?
spring, summer, or fall?
Oh, so I'm a twink, so I'm very small, and I don't have any body heat. So I'm gonna have to say summer because I like being warm. But I also, as much as I love being in front of a camera, I also love turning a look. It's something that I say on Twitter all the time, and people may not understand what it was, but turning a look is when you get all dressed up or like you feel really good in what you're wearing and you take on the world. So crop tops are a big thing for me. That was a really big important thing for me in the industry. I wanted to literally shock everybody and wear crop tops all the time. So any chance I get, and it is warm outside, and now that I'm moving to LA, it's warm very often.
Mm-hmm.
I have an arsenal of crop tops coming to Los Angeles. That's my
You are
thing.
set. You are set.
I love them. They're my favorite. There's nothing cuter than a boy in a crop top.
That's cute. Okay, another fun question. Would you rather win an Olympic gold medal, an Academy Award, or the Nobel Peace Prize?
Academy Award for sure.
Okay. All right. I can see
Definitely an
that.
Academy
I can
Award.
definitely see that. God, I'm dead on with all of you guys so far. This is really cool. I always try to guess in my head before I ask the question, and I've actually gotten it right 90% of the time. So I'm really
Good.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite movie? What's your go-to, feel good movie?
Ooh, I was just trying to think of this the other day because a guy asked me what my favorite movie was. It would probably have to be, and it might surprise people, but it would probably have to be a mix between like Dirty Dancing, because I love Patrick Swayze. I think he is such a hunk.
I miss him.
He is so great. And obviously, when by the time I was like even old enough to like remember things, he wasn't really part of my era. But my mother loved Dirty Dancing, so it was a huge movie in the arsenal of movies that we had. But I also like movies that are really where like the main character is predominantly female. So I would probably have to say it probably wouldn't be a movie. It would just probably be like a person, because Scarlett Johansson is great. She's a powerhouse in any of the movies that she does. So probably anything with her in it. Dirty Dancing for sure, and then Stepmom, which probably not a lot of people have seen. It's got Susan Sarandon and Julia Roberts, and then like I think the Susan Sarandon gets cancer, and then she has to so she's the stepmom and has to take care of the kids. It's great. It sounds really cheesy, but it's a
It's
great
actually
movie.
a really great movie.
It's so good, and they're like the best actresses in the world, like Susan Sarandon, Julia Roberts going head to head in the movie. It's such a good movie. I love it. So any day I would watch that movie just to like calm down. It's great.
So what do you like to listen to? What kind of music?
Oh, hands down, Twitter already knows. I'm an Ariana Grande stan. I love anything and everything Ariana Grande because she is a powerhouse. She's all about like empowering women, and her music is just sex. Like it's just, I listen to any of her music and I'm like trying to like whip the long hair that I don't have and like trying to give all the sex that I possibly can. She's just great. So anything Ariana, I'm good with. I love her.
That's awesome. So what's your favorite restaurant? What type of food what's your go-to for food? You could
definitely Buffalo Wild Wings. I love that like sports bar feel. It's so good. Their wings are amazing, and their margaritas are some of the best that I've ever had in this world.
Okay. All right.
So good.
So another fun couple of questions. Superman or Thor?
Ooh. Definitely Thor. I like a guy with like big beefy arms, so he could like scoop me up any day.
Spider-Man or Batman?
Ooh, Batman. I like
Batman.
mystery.
Okay. Green Hornet or Captain America?
Captain America. Chris Evans is so beautiful.
Again, I'm 90% on this one. I love it.
So good.
Oh my God, he really is. He is gorgeous. So if you had a superpower, what would it be?
If I had a superpower, what would it be? Probably like elemental control, for sure. Because sometimes, like, I don't want to get up out of my bed to like get water, so it would just be nice, like, have the power to just control water and put it in my cup while I'm laying in bed.
I see.
Because sometimes I get really relaxed and I'm like, oh, I want my room to smell good, so I'd like to light my candle, but my lighter is all the way over there, and then I'll have to move to light it, so then I could just snap my fingers and it would be lit.
I think another term would be lazy.
Yes, there you go. Sometimes when I get in this mode of like wanting to relax, like I've filmed for a week straight and I'm like so tired, so drained, I just want to literally be the laziest person you've ever seen in your life, and I want to relax. So that's kind of like my way of doing it, you know.
Okay.
It would be nice.
That's all right. So another fun one. What is on the perfect pizza?
Ooh, the perfect pizza. I'm really basic, so I just like cheese and pepperoni.
Okay.
Basic, very basic, but it has to be from Papa John's. I know. Everybody says that. I don't know why, but Papa John's is my favorite. My absolute favorite.
I'm not gonna.
I can tell that it's not your favorite.
No, it's a cardboard with sauce and fake cheese on top.
I love.
I think we're gonna have to educate you on proper pizza. We're gonna have to work on that one.
I mean, hey, we can always go and expand our horizons with new pizzas. I'm fine with that.
I will hold you to this because Zario says he knows where the perfect pizza place is in LA. So.
Oh, I will definitely message him because I'm going to test that. I'm going to test that.
I think it was him. I'm pretty sure it was him that told me that the other day. So it'd be in his interview because we were talking about pizza on that too. So
I will definitely.
If you could spend the day with anybody from history, current, who would you want to spend the day with?
Wow, that's a really big one. Probably Shania Twain. Fun fact, That's how my family has always explained it to me. My grandmother tells me all the time, "Well, I knew that you were gay when I heard you listening to Shania Twain." She was like my idol, like my icon when I was growing up. I guess my grandmother has this video of me dancing around in my whitey tighties and my mom's high heels,
Okay.
singing "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." So she was great. I got to see her in concert when I was a really young kid. So probably Shania Twain. She's like a powerhouse. I mean, then she went through her really, really, really big public divorce. So I just want to like meet her and like pick her brain. But I actually did get to meet her when I was young. My mom like got around security somehow, and Shania Twain like picked me up as a small child. It was so great, and I will never forget that memory. So probably her, because she's
Nice.
absolutely phenomenal.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. So I thought about going back to school. The porn industry is very important to me. It's something that has really taught me the ultimate freedom. I don't have to worry about, kind of the antics of like real life. Like, I get to like kind of disappear and fade into this, kind of subconscious that I have being Avery sometimes when I'm too like just stressed to deal with the world. So I want to stay in the porn industry. I would still obviously like to be a model. Hopefully I don't age too much in the next 5 years. But I thought about going back to school to do like the filming side of porn. So like being a director or an editor or, the photographer that does that stuff. So that's where I'd like to be, hopefully working on a major set for a major studio. But I guess we'll see what the future holds.
Yes, we will. So what trait do you like most about yourself?
As far as like physical attribute or like personality trait?
Let's go personality.
Personality.
Yeah.
I'm very like intuitive, in the sense that like I can really just feel everybody out. I'm very good with body language. So usually when I'm out in public, like it's just a natural human reaction to like lie to people sometimes when you're not comfortable. So like if you're sad but you're in a situation where people are very happy, you're not going to just outwardly be like, I'm sad, because you don't want to be the bearer of bad news. But I'm really good in the sense that I can read people, and I love that about myself, because I can just immediately pull them up and be like, let's go, we've got to figure this out, like I want to make sure you're okay. So I kind of like that quality about me. I'm really good at reading people. I can read people within the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, we're going to be really, really good friends, or we're really, really not going to like each other. So it saves me a lot of time, for sure.
I get that. Trust me, I get that. So if you had the ability to fix or wish 3 things into being in the world, what would those 3 things be?
The end of racism, for sure. The end of cancel culture. I absolutely hate that. Specifically when people do things in their past and they make mistakes, and then people bring them up like years later when they become famous, or they become, like an icon or a legend, or they get fame from whatever avenue they decide to do. Cancel culture is so gross. And people just go on Twitter and they just drag them for no reason. And then probably, I don't know, I'm probably going to have to say racism again. Just because it really like bugs me. Like, yes, like, I'm run of the mill, like, like white boy next door. So sometimes when I've like tried to like publicly say like racism is gross, it needs to stop, people have definitely been like, what do you know? Like, you're just like regular everyday white boy. But I don't care like what the color of your skin is, what your ethnicity is, where you come from. If you're beautiful, bitch, you're beautiful. Like, I don't want to take that away from you, and the color of your skin isn't going to determine if I don't want to work with you or not. So I just hate getting on Twitter and seeing people, saying things that are derogative towards people who are not run-of-the-mill, bland white people, and I want that to just end already.
So racism and counter-racism, basically, because those are two separate things. Honestly, they're two separate things.
Of course.
You can't cry for equal rights and then turn around and discriminate backwards, because that's not what equality means.
110%.
Equality doesn't have exceptions.
Exactly. That's what I want people to realize. Like, equality is just for everybody. It doesn't need to. You don't need to pick and choose. Like, oh, because you're this, like you can't have that. I mean, some of the most beautiful people in porn are not your run-of-the-mill basic white people. Max Connor is beautiful.
Yes,
I love Max Connor. He is beautiful. And I love that about him. Like, he's constantly, you know, lifting people of color up and kind of showing them that it's okay to be yourself and it's okay to be you. Like, don't let people like get in your head about it. Armin Rizzo is great. He's constantly tweeting about his heritage and where he comes from, and that people just need to lay off of him because of that. And so I really appreciate that kind of major people in the industry like coming together and being like, I'm different, but it's okay, and kind of just fighting that racism and that counter racism. So I definitely
I
want
just
that
wish
to
they
be,
didn't
like,
have to. I mean, I
oh yeah,
understand that they do, and I commend them for it. I just wish they didn't have to.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
I,
I wish that they didn't, but I mean, that's the world that we live in. It's very sad, and
we're
you
making
know, that's
progress.
kind of one of it.
We take 5 steps forward and 2 steps back, but you know, at least we still have
We're
those
getting
3.
there.
You know,
Oh yeah, we're getting there. Sometimes it seems like it's closer than others, but I mean, hey, it will end eventually. It just takes people of importance and people of stature and people of audience, people that kind of have that audience and that power to say this needs to stop, because people are going to listen to you if you have a following. So that's what I want people to understand in porn, is that use your platform for the right ways, like use your platform for the right things. If you have a platform of importance and you can use your voice for good, use it for that. Don't use your voice for bad things. Use them to be good.
I wish
That's
more
what I want to
would.
happen.
I wish more would get up and
Yeah,
you
be
know,
engaging,
yeah.
be interactive to the people that support you, the people that, you know, help make your dreams a reality. That's important. You need to interact with them.
There's
And I
power
think that that's
behind
important.
their comments, and they
Yeah,
should engage them. You know, and I think it's
110%.
totally important. So, what advice would you give to someone who's actually considering breaking into porn or wanting to get into porn? I mean, you obviously have
Hmm.
gone down that road a couple times, tried a different
Right.
technique with each one. So, what would you recommend to people who might be considering getting into porn? What they should do?
Do your research, know your worth, and be confident. Do your research first and foremost. Do your research. I didn't know of Shishi when I first started. Shishi's been in this industry for years, and she knows what she's doing. She knows her professionalism. All of the people at Next Door Studios, they're great. Their casting team is great. Their directors are great. So do your research. If I would have known about these people years ago, I would never have to go through this. But I mean, that's just the trick of the trade. You just have to go through this sometimes as a person to learn what it's like, and be confident. Obviously, I mean, know your worth. Like, do not let somebody sell you short. Don't take an opportunity because you think it's going to give you, you know, exposure if it's not worth it to you. If it doesn't feel worth it to you and you don't feel like it's going to benefit you, don't do it just because you're going to get out there. And just make sure that, you know, you're not being stupid, you know, like be conscious of your decisions, you know, make the right one. You're not always going to make the right one every single time, but try to understand. And if you do your research, hopefully you'll make the right one. And just don't sell yourself short. You know, I want people to be in this industry for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so far I've met really great people that, you know, love this industry for the same reasons that I do. So, you know who you're talking to, know the good people around you, and build relationships with them. That's why I love that we have this movement of like OnlyFans and Just for Fans, because now not only do the models get to do studio work, but we also get to bring the studio work to our fans and show them high quality productions. And we're working with other people in the industry that maybe they didn't think that we would work with before. So kind of just know who you're around and make those sound decisions and kind of bring that back to your audience. Because they really do support you. Porn fans are some of the most loyal fans that I've ever met in my life. Like, they do not stray away from you. If they love you, and they're going to support you 110%. So give them what they deserve and just be a confident, sound person that kind of just knows what they're doing. Research is important. Being confident is important, because if you're not confident, you won't feel sexy. So
Perfect.
gotta have all those
Love
things.
it. I love it. So, is the glass half full or half empty?
The glass is definitely always half full. I'm very optimistic all the time, even in situations where I probably shouldn't be. Like, I know that failure is inevitable, but I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, it'll work itself out. Being pessimistic just doesn't do anything for me. I don't like to live in that like negative headspace. So I'm always the friend that's like, somebody maybe have just gotten hit by a car and they could probably die, but I'm like, they're not going to die. Like, it's fine. Like, they might have just lost a few limbs, and they might die, but they're not going to die. Like, optimism needs to be there. You got to be that person that like uplifts everybody. There could be a room of people crying for like a legitimate reason, and I'm the person to crack a joke because I want people to laugh. Like, I don't like the heavy like negativity. I want people to be very cheery, and so I definitely like being a little bit of a comedian.
I love that. Oh, you could throw in there, they might die, but then they get to go to the other side and live it up and party.
There you go. Then they're immortal at that point. They don't have anything to worry about.
Exactly. They have perfect everything. Skin, body,
there
hair. I mean, they never have a bad hair day ever again.
There you go. They don't have to buy skincare. They won't have a pimple. There you go. What perfect way to live. Just like that. See, optimism.
Optimism. So what makes you smile?
I would definitely have to say, like, the people in my life that mean the most to me. Connection is very important to me. So when I have, when I'm having a bad day and like I really need to pick me up, I'll spend countless of hours with my best friend just doing nothing. Or, I'll FaceTime Shishi and I'll talk to her, or I'll talk to the people that I've worked with or people who really believe in me. Connection is definitely important to me. And I love having those people around me that know who I am at my very core. At the end of the day, like, they look past Avery, they look past porn, and they just kind of see me. So that's definitely what puts a smile on my face, just to know that I can be raw and real sometimes, because obviously on the internet there's probably things that you shouldn't share about yourself. Even though porn, you're probably oversharing the most, there's still things that maybe aren't necessarily internet like ready. So I like that at the end of the day, I have people who know who I am through Avery, through porn, through everything that I've went through in my life, and they kind of just see me for who I am, and I get to be as vulnerable as I can within reason. And so that kind of just makes me wholeheartedly like be able to smile, and I'm like, I'm okay.
Nice. So what makes you sad? What upsets you?
Probably when I think about like the hardships of not having my parents. When I'm around people who have like their parents, and or I hear kids when I go into like a store, or when I'm going shopping at the mall, like when I hear kids who are like talking about their parents and like calling them names and like trash talking them, like that's definitely what breaks my heart, because I want to look at them and be like, this is not forever. Something could happen. You're not going to have your parents forever. Just people who are really ungrateful for parental roles that they have in their life, because I don't have that by choice, and I know that. But I mean, not everybody's parents are as toxic as mine were, so I just want people to be grateful of the parents that they have, and like that they love them and they support them and they just want what's best for them. So that's probably what makes me like borderline very, very sad. But optimism, you just gotta look into the positive side of it. I don't have rules.
What do you want to be remembered for?
In my personal life, or in the porn industry?
What do you want to be remembered for?
I probably want to be remembered for being like leading with kindness. I say that a lot, and it's not even my quote. It's from Nina West, who was a drag queen on season 11 of Drag Race. She's very close to my hometown in Indiana. She lives in Columbus, Ohio. And she always says, lead with kindness. So that's what I want to be remembered for, leading with kindness. There are people on Twitter who obviously maybe don't do that, or maybe they get on there and they kind of like pop off a little bit. But I want to be remembered for being kind to people and being that person that people can go to for raw and real answers, but still delivered in a kind way. This world is full of hate and injustices and a whole lot of bad shit. So I want to be remembered for that person who, oh, Avery was really, really kind. I can go to him.
Perfect. I like it. That's awesome. So if you had an autobiography written, what would you call it?
I actually was thinking about this the other day, and it's not going to be a book, but later on in my career, I would like to come out with like a self-documented movie about my life in porn. And I just wanted it to be super simple, and I just wanted to call it Becoming Avery. I want to show people, my life before porn, my life, throughout the many instances where I've left and I've come back. So I want to show everybody the real raw side of like what we do as actors and performers in the industry as adult entertainers. And kind of like, how life shifts and changes, and, the friends that you lose, but the friends that you gain. I want to kind of pull all that together and put it into a big thing about becoming Avery, who has essentially, made me who I am.
Nice. I like it. Becoming Avery. I love it. That's
Becoming
awesome.
Avery.
So what is one message you would love to share with your fans?
Just remember to constantly be you 110%. If somebody doesn't like you, don't give a fuck, and just be you and lead with kindness. That's all I want.
Okay. I like it. I like it. So we know you mentioned that you have Uncle Bobby coming out soon.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else in the works that is done that should be coming out soon that we should keep our eye peeled for?
Yes. So I did obviously just do Uncle Bobby back in July with Shishi. I also flew back there, and I'm not sure what the movie is called, but I also did a scene for Noir Male. I did Rub Down with D'Angelo Jackson for Icon Male, so that one is going to be beautiful. And then I also have scenes coming out with Next Door. I filmed with, what was his name? I'm like drawing a blank. Kyle Brandt. He was very, very beautiful. He's a beautiful blonde blue hair, or blonde hair, blue eye boy. He's beautiful.
Either way would have worked.
Either way, fine if you want to have that. And then I also did a scene with Julian Bell, which is part of the like Christmas performance that they kind of do every year. And that one's really interesting. So I would keep your eyes peeled for that. Julian likes feet, so I let him like suck on my feet for a while. It's very interesting. It was definitely very funny. I kind of had like a little spaz attack because I was laughing and it was tickling too much. So I would definitely look out for that one. But we definitely have more stuff planned for sure.
Awesome. So where would people find you on social media? What handles should they look for?
So as of right now, I only have Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. So Snapchat is Twink Wonder XXX, all lowercase. And my Twitter is just Avery Jones XXX with 3 X's, and my Instagram is Avery Jones with just 2 X's after Jones.
Perfect. Avery, thank you very, very much for sitting down with me and spending time and letting me get to know you and sharing you with all these amazing people out in the universe who have been wanting to get to know you better too.
Yeah.
So this was so much fun. We will have to come back and sit down again together in about a year and see where you are and how you're doing and get an update and all those wonderful things. This was just amazing, and I appreciate you so much for doing this with me.
I appreciate you. All the love for you. You know that you have a special place in my heart, and I can't wait to meet you in person.
Definitely. The feeling is mutual.
Good.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Behind the Scenes. Remember, smile and laugh every day. Hug someone that you love, be it 2 or 4-legged. Remember, you are special. Thanks again for joining the show. I will see you next time. Bye.